If you are watching this video, let me tell you something important. You are not like the others. Most men make fatal mistakes without ever noticing them. They mess up with their words, with the way they speak, with the way they present themselves to a woman, and they think everything is fine until it is already too late. Today, I will reveal the 5 mistakes you must never make when speaking to a woman. Mistakes that kill attraction instantly. Mistakes that make you lose opportunities without her even realizing it consciously. These are not simple tips like be yourself or listen more. No, this goes much deeper. This is about strategy, psychology, and personal power. It is about how to project respect, value, and mystery, and how to hold the kind of attention that creates desire. I want you to listen to every word, because if you truly apply what you learned today, the way you communicate with women will change forever. This is not cheap manipulation. This is understanding human nature and positioning yourself with precision. If you are still here, it means you are ready to leave behind the mistakes that every other man keeps repeating. You are ready to take control, to sharpen your communication, to become that man who knows exactly what to say, what not to say, and when to say it. And before we begin, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, do it now, because what you are about to learn is not taught everywhere. What comes next could change the way you connect forever. Error 1. Showing neediness or dependence. Showing neediness or dependence is one of the most fatal mistakes a man can make when speaking to a woman. From the first moment, even the smallest signs of emotional dependence create an invisible imbalance. When you say things like, "Without you, I am nothing," or "I cannot live without you," you do not express love. You expose an inner void. You reveal desperation, insecurity, and a loss of control over your own identity. And even if those words come from innocence, they destroy attraction instantly, like a flame suffocated by its own smoke. Because attraction does not grow where there is need. It grows where there is value, where there is inner structure, where a man stands rooted in himself. A woman is not looking for someone who collapses into her. She is looking for a man whose presence elevates her. She wants someone whose life already has motion, a man with direction, ambition, and emotional gravity, someone she can admire, not rescue. But here is the truth most men never see. Neediness has nothing to do with words. It is the energy behind your existence. A needy man enters a room with a certain fragility. His shoulders give him away. His voice reveals too much. He waits for reactions instead of creating them. His entire presence whispers, "Please choose me, tell me I am enough, save me from myself." A woman registers this before he finishes his first sentence, not consciously, but biologically. Psychologically, this pattern begins long before adulthood. Men who grew up chasing approval learn to build their worth on the response of others. The smile of a parent, the praise of a teacher, the validation of a friend, these become oxygen. So when a woman arrives, she becomes the entire air supply. And a man who gasps for emotional air always clings too tightly. But the tighter you hold someone, the faster they suffocate and the faster they leave. From an evolutionary standpoint, women avoid men who broadcast emotional instability. A needy man signals unpredictability, and unpredictability in evolutionary biology means risk. A self-sufficient man, however, signals protection, direction, and a grounded inner core. Women are not judging consciously. Their instincts are activating ancient survival codes. This is why extreme neediness creates rejection, not connection. It pushes a man into emotional inferiority, a place where she feels she must carry him, soothe him, complete him. And obligation is the opposite of desire. Women test neediness without even realizing it. A delayed reply, a subtle disagreement, a small joke at your expense, a sudden shift in tone. These are not attacks, they are signals. She is checking your center. She wants to see if you remain stable or collapse. A needy man collapses. A grounded man does not move. A man with a full life becomes naturally attractive. He does not chase, he chooses. He does not beg, he invites. He does not cling, he stands. Because when a man carries himself like he does not need the world becomes drawn to him. This is why phrasing matters. "I enjoy spending time with you" communicates presence without losing identity. "I cannot be without you" communicates emptiness disguised as affection. Neediness hides in small behaviors. Talking too fast, laughing at everything, trying too hard to be liked, explaining yourself when no explanation was needed, apologizing for simply existing. These micro-expressions reveal the true architecture of your emotional world. Managing emotional dependence requires discipline. It means learning to stop searching for external validation and instead anchoring yourself in internal certainty. Because a woman feels your emotional state as if it were a temperature in the air around you. Even if attraction is strong, do not expose your inner instability. Let her sense that you are a man who is complete on his own, someone she can join, not someone she must fix. A practical example: if she tells you she had a bad day, the needy man fuses his emotions to hers. He says, "If you are sad, I feel terrible. I need to make you happy." He makes her the center of his emotional world. This creates pressure, not comfort. The strategic man says, "I am sorry you had a bad day. Do you want to talk about it? Or would you rather distract yourself for a while?" He offers support without surrendering his emotional structure. Another example, if she does not reply for hours, the needy man spirals into panic. He double texts, he assumes rejection, he imagines the worst, he loses control of his frame. A confident man continues living. His time does not freeze when someone else pauses. This is the difference between emotional slavery and emotional sovereignty. In summary, avoiding neediness or dependence is essential. Your goal is to project strength, autonomy, and a centered masculine presence. Attraction grows from respect, curiosity, and the sense that you hold your own world together. When you master this, you become a man who does not chase love, you attract it. A man who does not beg for attention, he commands it. And a man she does not want to save, she naturally wants to follow. Error 2. Criticizing or judging directly. Criticizing or judging a woman directly is a mistake that can destroy attraction faster than anything else, not because women are fragile, but because judgment attacks the core of human identity. Many men believe honesty is a virtue, but honesty without emotional intelligence becomes cruelty disguised as clarity. Saying things like, "Why do you do that?" or "You should change this," may sound harmless, but beneath those words lies a message her subconscious hears immediately: you are not enough. And the moment someone feels not enough, their heart closes long before their mouth does. Attraction is built on the triad of respect, curiosity, and mystery. Direct criticism shatters all three at once. A woman does not want you to fix her. She does not want you to shape her. She does not want you to diagnose her. She wants to reveal herself naturally and be met with presence, not correction. When you impose your values, when you try to improve her behavior, you do not appear wise. You appear controlling. You do not project strength. You project insecurity, pretending to be authority. A man who needs to correct others is a man who has not mastered himself. But a man who understands attraction studies the emotional landscape before he speaks. He knows when to guide without steering. He knows how to influence without forcing. He understands that the most powerful form of leadership is not direction, it is invitation. Instead of saying, "That is wrong," he says, "I am curious how you arrived at that decision. What was your thinking?" One sentence, two entirely different worlds. The first closes her heart. The second opens her mind. And here is the deeper layer. Criticism too early does not just hurt her, it reveals you. It exposes impatience, ego, and lack of emotional discipline. It shows that you are more interested in being right than being connected. Attraction is not logical, it is delicate psychological tension. You lose that tension the moment she feels judged. A woman becomes drawn to a man when she feels seen, not judged, heard, not corrected, understood, not analyzed. And yet most men judge because they want power. They want to elevate themselves by minimizing her. They want to feel superior, or they want validation from their own wisdom. But true power does not come from putting someone beneath you. It comes from being so centered that you never have to. Real masculine authority is silent. It needs no correction to prove itself. Criticism, when necessary, must be gentle, almost invisible, a whisper woven into trust. Anything earlier is arrogance. Anything harsher is emotional violence. A practical example: if she behaves in a way you do not agree with, an unrefined man says, "That is wrong." He instantly kills the connection. He reduces the interaction to teacher and student, and no woman desires her teacher. But a strategic man says, "That is an interesting way to see it. I would like to understand more." No judgment, no ego, just curiosity wrapped in confidence. He does not attack the moment, he explores it. This is the difference between a man she tolerates and a man she becomes willing to open herself to. Because attraction thrives not in judgment, but in psychological safety mixed with emotional mystery. In summary, criticizing or judging directly is a mistake men make constantly without understanding its emotional consequences. The true strategy is to respect, to ask, and to suggest, while keeping your frame, your curiosity, and your emotional authority intact. Master this principle and your communication becomes magnetic. Not because you avoid conflict, but because you turn every interaction into a place where she feels understood and irresistibly intrigued by the way your mind works. Error 3. Revealing weaknesses too soon. Revealing your weaknesses or insecurities too early with a woman is a mistake that many men make without ever sensing its psychological weight. They think they are building connection, but what they are really doing is shifting the emotional gravity of the interaction. Instead of meeting a man who stands on the ground of his own life, she meets someone leaning toward her before she has even decided to reach back. When you open your wounds before trust exists, you do not create intimacy, you create imbalance. You do not create closeness, you create responsibility. And responsibility is the fastest way to suffocate desire. Vulnerability in the wrong timing becomes emotional debt, and the human heart does not fall for those who hand it debt. It falls for those who hand it mystery. A woman does not lose interest because she is cruel. She loses interest because her instincts whisper, if he needs support now, what will he need later? Vulnerability offered too early overwhelms her intuition. It does not activate attraction, it triggers caution. Timing is everything. Vulnerability in the right moment is a bridge, in the wrong moment, it is a burden. This is the law of emotional pacing, the rhythm of how two people reveal themselves. Attraction lives inside three invisible forces: mystery, confidence, and emotional tension. A woman is drawn toward the parts of you she has not yet mapped, the unexplored, the untold, the unseen. If a man exposes his insecurities too early, he collapses the mystery. He removes the tension. He kills the anticipation. He turns the beginning of a connection into the ending of a confession. And desire does not grow where there is no room to breathe. Desire grows where there is a gap she wants to close. Most men mistake emotional openness for emotional dumping. They think that telling every painful memory creates honesty, but honesty without timing becomes heaviness. Real intimacy is not created by revealing everything. Real intimacy is created by revealing the right thing at the right time to the right person. To avoid this mistake, your first impression must be built on inner steadiness, not a fake mask, but a real, grounded presence. The presence of a man who is already whole, a man with momentum, a man with direction. When you speak of your passions, your goals, the silent wars you have won, you communicate something deeper than confidence. You communicate sovereignty. Only when mutual respect exists does vulnerability become a powerful emotional weapon. A confession given at the right moment cuts deeper than 100 stories told too early. It pulls her closer instead of pushing her away. It invites her into your private world instead of dragging her into your emotional wounds. And here is the truth that almost every man avoids. Men reveal weaknesses early not because they want connection, but because they want reassurance. They want to be emotionally held. They want to feel safe in her acceptance. But seeking emotional comfort is not vulnerability. It is dependency in disguise. And dependency exposes a lack of masculine self-mastery. This is why early vulnerability is fatal. A stable, controlled emotional posture is not about pretending you are fearless. It is about demonstrating that your fear does not command you, that your emotions do not drag you, you direct them. When a woman senses that a man can feel deeply but stand firmly, she feels something rare: trust mixed with desire. Inner strength is not the absence of fear. Inner strength is the ability to walk into fear without bending. A clear example: during the first conversation, when the topic of past failures appears, the weak man empties his entire emotional history. He says, "I failed at everything, nothing works for me." He gives her wounds she has not earned the right to touch. He turns the moment into an emotional rescue mission. But a grounded man speaks from self-command. He says, "I faced challenges, but each one taught me something that made me sharper, stronger, more focused." He shares the lesson, not the collapse. He reveals growth, not helplessness. He shows his scars, but never bleeds on her. This is the difference between emotional immaturity and emotional leadership. This way of expressing yourself shows resilience, evolution, and deep maturity. It keeps your value intact while shaping the perception of a man in control of his narrative. Women are not drawn to men who drown. Women are drawn to men who know the ocean, who have survived storms, and who now move with the calm of someone who has seen darkness and still chooses light. Revealing weaknesses too soon destroys attraction because it collapses the tension that makes a woman lean in. It removes the mystery. It interrupts the psychological dance of curiosity. Controlled vulnerability, however, does the opposite. It intensifies the pull. It makes her want to know more. It makes her respect you more. Mastering this principle transforms you into a magnetic presence, a man who creates connection without surrendering power, who inspires desire without begging for reassurance, who reveals his heart only when the moment has earned it. A man whose vulnerability is not a cry for help, but a sign of depth, earned, deliberate, and unforgettable. Error 4. Promising too soon. Making excessive promises or rushing into commitments with a woman is a strategic mistake that countless men make without understanding the psychological damage it creates. Because a promise is not just a sentence, it is a declaration of future power, and when you declare a future you have not yet built, you reveal the one thing a woman cannot trust: emptiness disguised as certainty. Men who promise too soon believe they are demonstrating devotion, but what they are really demonstrating is insecurity. Phrases like, "When we are together, I will do everything for you," or "I will give you whatever you want," sound poetic, but underneath the poetry lies a silent confession. I am not enough now, so let me compensate with imaginary futures. When you promise too soon, she feels the real intention behind your words, the desire to win approval through fantasy rather than through presence. She senses that you are trying to buy her emotional investment with promises instead of earning it with character. Female attraction is not built with promises. It is built with consistency, behavior, and emotional gravity. A man who talks endlessly about what he will do someday loses credibility. A man who moves quietly and follows through becomes unforgettable. Words without action create emotional inflation, big, impressive, but ultimately empty. And women instinctively distrust what feels inflated. A man who overpromises is often seen as unreliable, desperate, or out of touch with reality. And here is the deeper truth. A promise given too early is not a commitment. It is pressure. Pressure for her. Pressure for the connection. Pressure for a future she has not chosen yet. When you draw a future before she even knows the present, you suffocate the mystery that keeps attraction alive. She feels obligated, trapped, or simply uncomfortable because you are imagining a story she has not accepted a role in. Attraction lives inside the unknown, inside curiosity, not certainty. If you give too much from the beginning, you eliminate the beautiful tension of discovery. You collapse the unfolding of the relationship. You remove the dance that makes her wonder, who is he really? When everything is offered instantly, nothing feels valuable. To handle this mistake, focus on revealing intentions subtly, not by announcing a future, but by embodying the kind of man who naturally creates one. Replace grand promises with grounded presence. Replace fantasies with actions. Instead of saying, "I will make you happy forever," say, "I enjoy spending time with you and I want us to enjoy this." The difference is brutal. The first tries to force a future. The second honors the present. It shows interest without emotional desperation, commitment without losing your independence, connection without surrendering your frame. Another crucial element is emotional control. Men who promise too soon do so because they fear rejection. They think that offering a future will prevent abandonment. But women do not fall for men who fear losing them. They fall for men who can walk away if the connection is not aligned. A man with emotional independence does not promise worlds he cannot build. He does not declare loyalty before trust exists. He does not sell futures. He creates moments. A practical example: if the conversation shifts to future plans, an insecure man will say, "When we are together, we will travel everywhere." He imagines a life she has not asked for. He traps her in a fantasy. But a grounded man says, "I love the idea of discovering new places with you someday." This keeps the door open without dragging her through it. It shows vision, not desperation, curiosity, not pressure. And here is what most men never realize. When you promise less but deliver more, a woman feels safer. When you promise nothing but your actions reveal everything, she becomes drawn to your presence. A woman trusts a man whose life already works, not a man who needs her to make his fantasy real. In conclusion, promising too soon destroys attraction because it breaks the fragile balance of tension and mystery. It reveals insecurity, collapses curiosity, and signals emotional dependence. The powerful strategy is simple yet rare. Speak less, show more, promise little, prove everything. Mastering this principle transforms you into a reliable, confident, magnetic presence. A man who maintains female curiosity, builds connection without force, and inspires desire not through promises, but through the undeniable truth of his actions. Error 5. Being completely transparent without judgment. Being completely transparent with a woman, without choosing your timing, without filtering your truth, without shaping the moment, is not honesty. It is emotional exposure. And exposure without intention is weakness disguised as sincerity. Most men do not understand that the human heart does not fall in love with what it fully knows. It falls in love with what it is still trying to understand. Men confuse emotional nudity with emotional courage. They believe that pouring everything out instantly will make a woman trust them. They think transparency is intimacy. But raw transparency in the beginning does not create closeness. It creates overload. Mystery and anticipation are not luxuries in attraction, they are the architecture. Reveal everything too fast, and you collapse the architecture. You demolish the tension that pulls her toward you. Honesty is not the issue. Timing is. Attraction is built on pacing, the rhythm of revelation, the spaces between words, the shadows that hint at a deeper story. A man who reveals everything immediately shows that he cannot hold his own emotional gravity, that he cannot carry his world without assistance. And a woman does not want to hold a man's world before she even knows if she wants to step inside it. Transparency without judgment signals one thing: you do not govern your inner world. Your emotions govern you. And any woman, consciously or not, pulls away when she feels that her presence gives her unearned access to your vulnerability. Access must be earned, unlocked, invited, not dumped onto her lap like a responsibility she never agreed to carry. Because when a woman feels responsible for your emotional stability before attraction even exists, she shifts from curiosity to caution, from soft interest to emotional fatigue, from desire to duty, and duty is the death of desire. Here is something almost no man understands. People do not value what pours freely. People value what is revealed slowly, intentionally, and in layers. The unknown is magnetic. The unsaid is powerful. The withheld is intoxicating. To avoid this mistake, you must treat your story as something sacred, something private, something held in the hands of your own discipline. Share the essentials, the frame, the surface, but reserve the deeper fractures, the shadows, the childhood wounds, the inner storms, until she has proven she has the strength, respect, and character to hold them. Not everyone earns the right to witness every part of you. That right is reserved for the rare few. This strategy does more than maintain curiosity. It elevates your perceived value. Because a man who does not reveal everything immediately communicates one thing: he has depth, he has layers, he has regions of himself that are not accessible to everyone, and that, in a world obsessed with oversharing, is power. Being strategic with your transparency is not manipulation. It is emotional leadership. The ability to decide what belongs to the world, what belongs to the moment, and what belongs only to you. For example, when she asks about a difficult experience, giving the entire emotional story is not intimacy, it is self-pity. But distilling the lesson, the strength, the transformation, that is masculine openness. That is vulnerability refined into power. Because women are not drawn to men who bleed in every direction. They are drawn to men who have bled, survived, healed, and now carry their scars like secret signatures of depth. When a man reveals too much too soon, he collapses the psychological tension that makes a woman lean closer, wonder deeper, and imagine more. But when he reveals selectively, deliberately, when he lets her discover him piece by piece, he activates something rare. Desire born from curiosity, respect born from restraint. The strategy is simple. Guard your mystery. Shape your revelations. Speak with intention, not impulse. Mastering this transforms you into a magnetic presence, a man whose silence is intriguing, whose emotions are earned, and whose vulnerability feels like a privilege, not a burden. A man whose inner world is not a confession given to anyone, but a kingdom revealed only to the woman who proves she is worthy of entering it. Now that you know the 5 fatal mistakes you must never make when talking to a woman, it is time to reflect and apply this knowledge. Every word you say, every gesture you make, and every decision you take projects your value and defines how you are perceived. Attraction is not a coincidence. It is the result of a conscious strategy of emotional control and intelligent communication. Avoiding neediness, not criticizing directly, controlling vulnerability, not promising too soon, and managing your transparency with judgment are principles that completely transform the way you relate. Implementing them not only increases your attractiveness, but also positions you as a secure, strong, and magnetic man, capable of generating genuine respect and desire. Remember, true strength is not in what you say, but in how you say it and when you say it. Every interaction is an opportunity to show your value, maintain mystery, and create a deep connection. Mastering these principles will allow you to communicate with intelligence, attract naturally, and build relationships based on respect, admiration, and mutual desire. If you have reached this point, congratulations. You are ready to leave behind the mistakes of the past and become a man who knows exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. Your path towards strategic attraction begins now.